Thank you for joining us the day after an exciting primary, and here with us to talk about it all is newly elected, re-elected Sheriff Garry McFadden. Thanks for joining us this
Thank you,
afternoon.
sir. Thank you,
How
sir.
you feeling after a night that you had?
Busy night. It was a busy day yesterday from poll to polls, talking to people, having a good time at the polls yesterday. Didn't spend a lot of time at many polls, just a couple of minutes at each poll. Felt good about it. Met a lot of people, had a good feeling about it, and the community and the voters spoke.
Wow. Yeah. You had, this is your third term being reelected. So tell me, how was this campaign different from your past two campaigns?
The worst campaign I've had ever. The worst campaign, because of course everybody believed what they heard through the media, social media, and Raleigh. And so people were undecided. They were flip-flopping. I had friends to say, well, I'm not sure about Garry, or I'm not sure about the sheriff. And so they believed everything that they heard, never verified any of it. They just took what they heard and ran with it. And so it put a lot of doubt in a lot of people's minds. I had friends says, well, I'm not sure. Then we had people that say, well, I went to school with this person, so I'm going to vote for him. Well, what are the qualifications? Well, I just went to school with him and I owe him that. And that was disturbing. And of course, I said something and making sure, because I have to be honest about it, disappointing in a lot of people. Some people said that I'm supporting you, but then I don't know now, you're kind of hot. I need to back away from you. Phone didn't ring. The phone didn't ring in these last month. I would say from December, the phone didn't ring. It wasn't, oh, Garry, we behind you, we are thinking you. The few people did, but the people who I thought that would support me or claim that they would support me was flip-flopping. And then, of course, some people campaign was negative, negative, negative. And they got their friends to completely just overshadow social media. So I kept telling my staff, don't deal with social media. But they called their friends and just berated me on social media. And one I'm looking at that was a pastor or reverend or whatever they may call themselves. And somebody said, do you know this person? I said, I do well. And they went in and day out. And at one point, you have to understand it. To me, it was a spiritual battle at that point.
Yeah, because I know you had said earlier that I guess your relationship with your creator has gotten a little stronger.
Well, it has gotten stronger because here's what happened. I went to a church, and they invited me, and so we went to the church, and I'm invited as Garry, not as the sheriff, but they recognized me as the sheriff. But they had a guest speaker, and the guest speaker was from, I think, New York, and she was just speaking about what life is about. And then she went to the point of saying, and you, sir, you're going to go through something in these next couple of days. Let God fight your battles. She said that. Let God fight your battles. And if anybody know me, I fight my own battles. So I heard it, but I didn't want to accept it. Mm-hmm. My wife and I went to another church, and we didn't visit churches during election. And I think that's what upset a lot of people. Going to church to visit, we didn't do that. We didn't do that in my second election. And so we went to another church in a completely another city. And that message was similar. And for whatever reason, we're on the second row, and the pastor says, and you, I see God has shown me there's a heavy burden about to be placed on your life. Let God fight your battles and be still. Again. Yeah. That's a hard thing for me, because I've fought all my battles all my life, and was proud of fighting my battles. And then I went to another church, which we are visiting regularly, and the senior pastor wasn't there, but his wife spoke. And that morning, I did not want to go to church. But my wife said, we need to go to church. I did not want to go to church that morning. And we went, and my wife looked at me and she said, that entire message was for you. And that congregation prayed for me. Wow. And that's it.
You said that this was the worst campaign, but also you say that this was a campaign where you learned a lot.
It was the worst campaign for my family. It was the worst campaign for my staff. both at the detention center and also my campaign staff, of what they had to be subjected to because they are with me. That was difficult, but it opened my eyes to so many different people, so many different organizations. And I want to make it clear. People said he's angry. No, I'm disappointed. But I'm over the disappointment as of last night because the people spoke, and now I'm going on. So it's going to be, well, Gary's acting funny now, the sheriff acting funny now. Now he doesn't want to meet with us. And no, it's just that I have an agenda. I have a playbook. And now I get to do exactly what I wanted to do on this third term. I knew it would have taken me about 2 terms to do, and I came close. COVID held me back for a long time, and all this rhetoric about what we're not doing at the detention center held us back, and the deaths and the lawsuits and all that. So we have to deal with that. But now we are not past that, but I clearly understand the attacks now.
Yeah. Can you take anything away? Because when you look at the numbers, I guess you got like 32, 33% of the vote. So more people voted against you than for you. So is there anything, how do you dissect that information moving forward?
I don't dissect it because I know clearly what happened. You make up things. You create doubt. It's the same thing as a jury. You create doubt. But clearly, I won. And that's what people need to understand. I won the vote. That's it. And if you look at the maps of the precincts, so not just the number, look at the green of the map. That'll tell you a different story. Yeah. So no matter if you won by 1 or you won by 2, you won. And you should support that win. But will we?
Yeah. And so what would you say, what's the message to the voters who voted for the other 3 candidates?
Well, here's what I'll say. I thank all the voters who voted for me. I thank all the voters who voted against me. But I clearly would say, come and get to know me, because for the next 4 years, I am your sheriff. And so don't let the vote hinder your beliefs. Come and talk to me. I guarantee you most of these people have never talked to me. They just listen to the rhetoric of other people and say, let me form an opinion. And do you really know him? No. That's what they say. What they say, they say. Well, the people who didn't listen are the people who voted for me.
Yeah. How do you move forward? Because I guess this, the conversation about all these allegations and investigations, that may not be going away. So how do you move past the noise and still do what you need to do?
We accept the process, and in my head, that's part of the process, and I moved on. We know that process is going to be done. Nothing I can do about it, we move on. Those processes were created because of the election. We all know that. Friends of one of the candidates, if you look at their Facebook and you look at their friendship, that is their friends. So of course it was brought against me, but we move on from that.
Yeah, but how do you move on from that? Is that
you understand it? No, it's not tough, because now like I said, now I clearly understand. I clearly understand. So imagine this: people who prayed for me and fast for me, which I heard about, some of them are in prison. And I always talk about one of my friends, Thomas Lowry, is in Kershaw Correctional. His whole pod prayed for me. He sent me letters. Continue to do what you need to do. We will write and we'll pray for you. The Nigerian community heard what was happening to me within my community here. The Nigerian community, which I'm 85% Nigerian, I tell everybody that, I'm proud of that, from the Igbo tribe, I'm proud of that. They came to rescue their tribal member. The Latinos came to me and said, you have fought for us. We will now fight for you. We're sitting at their home fighting. We're sitting at their home for the Nigerian fighting. I have a classmate, or I have a friend. She went to UNCC. I went to Johnson C. Smith. When she was in trouble, she called me. And I took some young men from Johnson C. Smith to UNCC, and we helped with that trouble. She never forgot that. So now I clearly understand it better when people say, I got your back. Or is that just a slogan? And so you have to move on because I have a mission given to me, and I know people think this is a joke by God, and I've never wavered from that mission, and I never wavered from the instruction. Yeah, fight, 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 walk in the desert, divide, all this stuff. And clearly, I understand. This is the letter that I give people now.
Okay, and you just gave it to me.
I give people that letter now.
This is and we're going to read it. Let's see.
Interesting.
When God wants to create his strongest soldier, he makes him suffer, delays his recognition, and watches how the man walks through pain. So where'd you get this from?
Somebody sent that to me. So people who call me in the morning, pray for me in the morning, besides my family. We have 100 sheriffs in North Carolina. I've only heard from 3 through this whole process.
And before this process, how many?
Still didn't hear but 3.
How many you still heard from 3 before?
Why? Because we were the Magnificent 8.
Mm-hmm.
We're the first African American sheriffs to go through this. And so people say, why are you talking about this now? Because now I'm on the other side of the mountain. I have to be vocal about us moving forward. And some people won't like it. But think about this. The first African American sheriff in the history of Mecklenburg County, how many times was I recognized during Black History Month? How many times it has been recognized? Not many. We can go to any events and elected officials are recognized, and it's a joke. With some of us, didn't do it again. I'm all right. I don't expect it.
Yeah.
Some people expect it, but I don't expect it. And does that hinder me? No. Because I clearly understand some people's agenda, and I have to move on from that.
Yeah. And talk to me, how do you move on without having a chip on your shoulder, animosity, or having an axe to grind, or getting back at people?
Because I got great friends that motivate me, and great friends. I mean, I would say this, and I know this is not going to be great for everybody. I have great friends in the community here, absolutely great friends. And all of them, they said, maybe came through a rough time or came through convictions or been to prison and all of that, yeah. But then I have 2 not brand new communities, but when people say, why are you talking about the Latinos and the Nigerians? Because I sat in their home and watched them worry about me. Sure, I sat in the homes of some of my other friends, and the reason I don't want to say anything about them, because if I say something about them, people may target them. You have to move on. I have a mission. As I told a friend of mine I was talking today, in high school, I never took off my helmet. I never took off my helmet. I played both ways, kickoff, receiving, defense, off. I never took off my helmet. I never had a chance to take off my helmet. Think about this. I've never had a chance to take off my helmet as the sheriff. Yeah. Day 1, controversy. Day 2, day 3, year 1, term 1, term 2, term 3. And so then when you know that it is going to come, you have to be built for the battle. Most people say built for the fight. No, built for the battle, because the battle is a war. Yeah. And that's what this was.
So talk to me, is there any accountability? I guess, with deaths in the jail, people accusing you of bullying and, using derogatory language or, all of that. So is there any accountability? Is there anything you would have done different?
Is there an accountability of me not letting anybody die inside a detention center? Is there any accountability of all the programs that we have at the detention center? Is there any accountability that I'm on both of the national sheriff's boards? Is there any accountability that having the only mental health pod in the state? Is there any accountability of me serving 36 other sheriffs? Is there any accountability for my mental health program? Is there any accountability for my the National Sheriff Association Ignite program? Is there any accountability for the post-release center? Why do we always talk about the negative? Why don't we ever say about the positive? When we say deaths in the jail, you can't find one death that my staff is responsible for. Oh, well, he missed a term, or he missed a tour. But did we give him cancer? Did we give her ovarian cancer? Did we give them lung cancer? Did we stop their heart from beating?
Yeah. And are some of the people who died, did they have cancer? But
I'm saying, here's what people do. We say deaths in the jail. We don't say, well, did the SBI hold anybody accountable for any of those deaths? Because there's an investigation. Did the SBI or the district attorney hold anybody accountable for those deaths? So if we're talking about the deaths, let's talk about them with factual information. Just don't say death, let's talk about the facts of the death. And so when we talk about that, sure, oh, well, we don't know, because they say. And we give them that they say, and guess what? Doubt, doubt, doubt. We don't know. So we got that going. So now let's talk about Raleigh. Okay, we got that going. So let's talk about immigration. We got that going. So we put all this doubt that makes people say, well, I'm not sure, and I'm going to go this side. People voted for people that did not show them any evidence of leadership. Think about it. Where we had a panel discussion here. You never heard anything about any initiatives that they created. You never saw a photo of them working in the community, and you never heard them talking about community engagement. Oh, I worked for 30 years. We all worked for 30 years. We all worked for 30 years. Where is the receipts, as we say, for your work? That's what we're looking for. As one guy said to me, walking out of a building the other day, you can't beat proven. You can't beat proven. Proven leadership, you can't beat. Promises.
Yeah.
But when you got proven leadership, who led you through COVID? Who led you through Black Lives Matters? Who led you through civil unrest? Who led you through immigration issues still going on today? They can say what they can do, or I can do this and I can do that, but have you done it? Have you sat in the actual seat of the sheriff?
Yeah. I know when we talked last night at your watch party, I know you said that you have talked to your deputies about changing some things up to make you a better office. Talk to me about those changes that people can evidently see that, hey, that you are a better.
So we're going to be a better office because we're going to have something called the accountability hour.
Okay.
The accountability hour is that we're going to hold you accountable for what you do. Most people hold me accountable because I am the head of the agency. And so everything is blamed to the sheriff. You know, when you lose a football game, you blame the head coach. You don't blame the defensive coordinator. You don't blame the offensive coordinator. You don't even blame the owner. You blame the head coach. You fire the head coach and hope that the next head coach comes. But then the ultimate responsibility is the team. Once you win, then everybody wants to contribute to the team. And you think about it, and here's what I told somebody about football. When you're in the trenches fighting and there's 2 minutes on the clock, you bring the field goal kicker in. He kicks the punt. He never got dirty. He never got a complaint. He never got injured. He just kicked the ball. And we give him the credit for that. My staff doesn't get credit for what they do. They get blamed for what they say I done or I have done. And so when we talk about accountability, that I'm going to hold my staff accountable, more accountable, and let them find the solutions. I was never, ever given a comprehensive lesson on how to deal with the sheriff's office. It's trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. Why? Because a plan was always in plan to come and take it. You think about it, to come and take it.
And you actually believe that someone wanted to come and take the power or the authority?
Yes. If you haven't seen it, yes. If you look at the Facebook posting, we got to get this person in. We got to get this person in. We got to get it back. We. Who is we? I think that we were standing here and one of the candidates kept saying we. Why is it we? You're not working at it. You haven't worked in 3 years. But in their minds, they're still here. Because you didn't go with the good old boy program and the plan that we had. And so we can't accept that. We can't. So we're going to go with our agenda.
Yeah. But there were 3 other people who were
Yes.
running against you were African American.
Yes.
So
well, African people said, well, that's supposed to be significant? Is that supposed to be significant of the color of their skin? Is supposed to be acceptable? Well, we go back to this. I'm African American. Why did you come and attempt to remove me? Yeah. Think about it. So did you ever say, well, we want to work with you to make you a better agency? We want to help you become a better agency. They didn't.
No entity came and said, hey, how can we help make the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office better?
And this is the sad part. Before I became sheriff, I did that with the other sheriffs, and I attempted to do that with Carmichael, but he saw a different avenue.
Yeah, wow. Talk to me about that accountability hour.
The accountability hour that we have accountability. You know, accountability for what you do every day. Okay. You can say, well, I got this, I have 25 people in lockup and I got 10 people over here. That's not accountability. What are you doing to decrease that? Or what are you doing to increase that? And when you give that, how are we going to work together towards it? Someone says on one of the accountability hours the other day, well, we have a problem with people with meta glasses. We got a problem with people with meta glasses coming into the courthouse. I said, meta glasses coming into the courthouse, that's going to happen. I'm going to direct that person to work on that. You brought it to our attention. Now you work on it. And you bring it to the other staff's attention. Right. If we're talking about immigration, is that supposed to be on me? If we're talking about recruiting, is that all supposed to be on me? No. What are we doing? How can we make recruiting better? Tell me what you need to do. The system that they had prior to me is do as you're told, don't ask questions. So they never created leaders. They created followers. They never created leaders. They created followers. Do as I say, don't ask me any question, and be quiet. And so when I give them the expectation of leading, it's unfamiliar to them. And so then when you're trying to hold them accountable, as they would say, Sheriff, we never had to do that. Why? We were told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And after you finish that, I will give you instructions again. 80% of the people working for the sheriff's office has never even seen the actual sheriff's office. They don't even know where it is. They never saw a sheriff walking the hallways. They never saw they're upset because I have a camaraderie with the people who are working inside the detention center. If you want to talk to the real people, talk to the real people who are working in the trenches every day, and that's my detention officers and my deputies.
Yeah. 3 people ran against you, Ricky Robbins, Rodney Collins, and Antoine Nance. Did any of them call to congratulate you or to anything like that?
I will give Ricky Robinson the credit that he's due. Throughout this campaign, absolutely professional. From day one. His family, sisters, day one, professional. Never had a problem with him. Some people even took pictures with us standing together and having a conversation, and sometimes joking about how many events we're going to go to. I would say, in the words of what we say, ran a clean campaign. Did he say what he had to say to be elected? Absolutely. Did I say what I had to say? Absolutely. He comes from a genuine 100% law enforcement background. The sheriff's office, even now, doesn't stand as a full service sheriff's office. Hate to say that, call him Ricky, Ricky did well. He was the only person that spoke to my family, spoke to my wife directly, wished us well in the beginning, talked to my wife personally, and last night was the only person to call me, congratulate me, and we had a brief conversation, and we will talk again. The only person that did that.
Yeah, as of right now. Yeah. So does a Ricky Robbins fit into McFadden third term in office?
He would have to ask Mr. Robinson that. He's a very, very well educated young man. We were trying to determine it's either 1 year or 2. We were trying to see how many classes came before. We were trying to see where we were in classes with CMPD, how many years, was it one class or two classes before my class? But yeah, I mean, he's a seasoned person. We may have to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but very well respected. We had a great time on the campaign trail. A lot of people got us mixed up several times, and we laughed about it.
Because y'all go to the same barber.
We go to the same barbers, and we've been in the sun the same length of time. And one lady, I'll never forget, she walked up to me and she said, I voted for you today. And I said, you did? She said, I voted for you today. And she said, husband, come over here and talk to Ricky. And I said, okay. And I said, ma'am, I'm not Ricky. And she said, oh my God. And she said, what did I just do? I said, you just mistaken me for Ricky. And it happens all the time. And so I saw Ricky right after that and told him. So it's a common laughter and joke there. But I wish him well on whatever he does and whatever decisions he's make. He's an honorable man. He's a very honorable man, and I'll always give him the respect. And the reason I say that, because from day one, he said he wasn't sure if I was going to run or not. And he listened to somebody else's advice. And when he found out that we were in the same space, and before he came to me, he talked to my wife, because he knows my wife very well. And they talked, and I don't think we talked that day. And when we got in the car, my wife explained to me what Ricky, I hate to say Ricky on TV, but Ricky, what he said. So I respect him. I respect the person who respects the process.
Because you're not mad at anybody
no
for
man.
running, because
I'm not.
It's free.
I mean, if you fight, if you see, Mike Tyson has never not shake somebody's hand after fighting them. And he always goes and congratulates them, hug them, and anything you can do, that's it.
Yeah. Wow. So I just wanted to know, and we'll wrap this up, what else can people expect because I guess that rhetoric, that conversation is not going to go away about, abuse and all that stuff. So how do you overcome all of that and still do what you say you want to do?
But it's not for me to overcome.
Okay.
It is from them, for the people to overcome. It is not for me to overcome. I've set this on. God has given me a mission. God has been in my corner. And I know some people say, oh, well, we talk, but no, I've always talked that way. They're going to have to look in their soul and say, are we going to support our sheriff? Are we going to stand with our sheriff? Are we going to help him be a good sheriff? Are we going to help his staff be a great staff to support his good sheriff? We talk so negative, and we keep the negative always going. What about the positive? Because it doesn't only affect me, it affects my staff. Because when my staff is in the grocery stores or at a market or doing something, well, how's the sheriff? They get tired of hearing that. Well, they get paid the big bucks. No, they get paid, but they don't get paid to defend me. And that has been a strain on my staff. They don't know whether to smile or not sometimes. And it bothers them. So if you want a good sheriff's office, support the sheriff's office. If you have an opinion, you have a concern, 700 East 4th Street, Suite 100. You can come and have a conversation with us. Not through social media, not through the media, not through Facebook, Twitter. If you have a concern, come on. But we all know that is not going to happen to in many cases.
Well,
because
we'll see.
We've been always saying that. Yeah. We have to be, keyboard bandits. Mm-hmm. We have to be. It's safe because you may learn something that, because that's what I say about the immigration. Have I broken the law? Forget everything else. Have I broken the law? Have I followed the law? That's what you have to ask. Well, he ought to. Has he followed the law?
Yeah. Wow. So tell me, you said that in your campaign, you said that you kept all of your promises.
All of the promises.
So what promises are you making this third term that you want to
Mental health, both for my staff and my detention officers. I'm a detention officer, my staff, and the people who are incarcerated there. We're going to work with the federal government. There's an issue about federal inmates being in Kentucky or being in other cities, and it is causing the federal government and lawyers here to travel to Kentucky. That's the one I heard. Why do we have to interview my client in Kentucky and he could be here? We're going to still talk about youth violence. We're not connected with our youth. Our youth are not going to come to the panel discussions. Our youth are not going to come to the churches. Our youth are going to be at the block, at the store, at the corner, and that's where we need to meet them. We're going to be in the community a little bit more to better educate them. Okay, that's a joke for some people. Oh, the sheriff is not educated because you don't know the 3 branches. Well, there's a lot that you don't know, and a lot that you believe that you know. And so we're going to better educate the community. Having my deputies evict 198 people out of their home the Monday after Christmas is a problem. Do we know that? When we evicted these people out of their homes, do we know that?
And that was the fact that happened the Monday after Christmas.
Right, and it happened after New Year's. Do we understand that I have to come to after the findings of the SBI on these deaths? Do I need to come and say, let's talk about them? I have all of them in a file. And what I've done to each person, I spread them on the table and say, pick one. Now, read the cause and manner of the death. Cause and manner of the death. Now, read the investigative summary by the SBI. After you read the summary of the SBI, read the summary that was given to the district attorney's office to close the case. Death. Poor health. We're going to make it sure that we understand that our people are coming to our detention center in poor health. And if anybody wants to help, we have an open door policy. Anybody can say, well, Sheriff, come to this community event and let's talk about it. We can come. Can we meet with you? But I don't want to meet with you and meet with you and meet with you about problems. Let's meet with you about solutions. And that's what we want to do.
Yeah. Speaking about youth, I know when we had our debate, you raised your hand about that you wanted to open up the youth detention center. And we asked where was that funding going to come? Right. We know that the county's budget is tight, so where is that funding going to come from? And if you say the state, your relationship is not the best with the state, so talk to me.
Best with part of the state. And see, that's what I'm going to say. So if my relationship is not best with the state, but you need to open a juvenile detention center in my county, you need to start helping us create that relationship. And see, this is what happened. We do have a good relationship with part of the state. Okay. This is when we said, okay, now we're going back to this joke of the branches. Okay, we got a good part with the juveniles and Billy Lassiter. We have that relationship. But do we have that relationship with the funding coming from? Now, I don't know that. If they got $430 million that they could allocate to open that center, let's do it. We have said this, and I will say it again. Only 2 people really raised their hand, myself and Mr. Robinson. Other people kind of in the way. We don't know what they're going to do. We should have it open, but it's going to take funding. How is going to get this funding? Having all these people say it's a good idea, we would like to have it, it's great. Do you bring funding? Funding. Can you contribute to the funding? Can you find the funding? We all know how much it costs. We all know how many people it takes. 98 people. We all know the funding is anywhere from 14 to 16 million. Okay? We know that.
Per year, 14 to 16
yes.
a year.
Because we're talking about staffing. Mm-hmm. We're talking about medical. Mm-hmm. We're talking about food. We're talking about programs. And we're talking about maintenance. So then that is what it takes to run that facility. We know that we're the best to run it. We ran the best one before. And so when we're talking about, well, the relationship with the state and everything's not that good, no, certain people are not going to have a great relationship with us. They don't want a great relationship with us. Why? Because that's their platform. To keep it seeming like it's him instead of us. 16 million, the responsibility is mandated for the state juvenile section of the state, not mandated statutorily for the sheriff's office. We are willing to do it. The problem is hiring 98 people. If the state is willing to provide that funding to hire 98 people, meaning that you're going to have to create a whole process, HR process to hire them, then that's step number one. Step number two is training and putting them inside that facility. If they're willing to do that, we're willing to move forward.
So is that almost like a promise that you want to do that in your third term?
I really do.
Yeah.
But will people say, let's put our differences aside, let's put our animosity to aside, and let's move forward. We went to Raleigh on this oversight hearing. We had 290 documents requested by the oversight committee for me to present. None was presented. We supposed to have an opening testimony. I never got to present that opening testimony. They have my resume, and they never talk about my resume. We have all the stuff that they've asked for. Nothing ever happened. As they say, the elephant in the room now, let's attack you for 2.5 hours. Then we're going to ask you a question that everybody still talks about, the three branches of the government. Let's talk about state. Let's talk about federal. Let's talk about county. And let's talk about city. If you want to talk about any branches, let's talk about them. Federal has to have funding. The state has to have funding. The county has to have funding. And the city has to have funding. So if you want to break the real three down, give me the state, the county, and the federal. Let those three branches work together. So we could all joke about it.
Has there been a step? Have you written a letter to the state saying that, hey, I need to request some monies in order to open up the youth?
No, we've had conversations for 3 years. And we bring many people to the table. And we bring all these people to the table, but who's going to provide the funding? It sounds good to bring all these people to the table, and it feels good to bring all these people to the table, but what are we really doing?
Yeah, what are we doing? I mean, what's the next step? Whose court is the ball in?
A guy said this to me about 15 years ago. We are masters at performing activities masqueraded as accomplishments. Activities masqueraded as accomplishments. Moving forward. 98 people. Here's what we're going to say. We have the building. We have the building. You don't have to build one.
Right. And you've checked on that building. It still has good bones. It's
we have to keep the building certified every month.
Okay. All right.
We have a building. Mm-hmm. It's going to take 98 people to run that building.
Right.
That's 2 steps. Third step is going to take $16 million to run that building. Where is the funding?
Yeah. Are you on the hunt for that funding?
No, I don't have to hunt for it. They have to hunt for it. We'll come to our part. But see, here's what I'm saying. Statutorily, we're not mandated to do this. But because why? I'm still hiring for my own center. I can't hire that. What people don't know, we open our own basic law enforcement training center at our center this year.
Yeah.
So not only that we are recruiting for detention officers, now we're recruiting for deputies. So we have schools going back to back. We can't hire 98 because we're looking for our 98 to fill our vacancies.
And how many deputies are you down by?
We're by probably 90, I think it's 90 something.
90 some deputies.
The total staff that we need right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you promised to come back.
We can come back.
We can have.
We have to have these conversations because it is important.
Yeah.
Because people think that we are not a great agency. We are. We're nationally ranked, every level that you can think. Accreditation. Let's talk about how many accreditations that all the sheriff's offices have in North Carolina. Let's talk about the facility that all sheriff's offices come in North Carolina. Our facility and what we do inside our detention center, we get visitors every single month from another sheriff's office just to come by.
To see how you
see how we run it. Today, we're going to have people coming from the Atlanta area because our maintenance on our building that we believe is so superior that they want to come and see how our building is ran so they can run their building. And so we talk about the negative. can we throw the positive also in there? Most people don't want it because the negative gives that person a platform. It gives the critics a platform. It gives the critics a platform. But like we say, critics and critics are the same thing. You never see them, critics and critics, and they both used for bait.
Well, thank you, Sheriff Garry. But before we leave, I just want to be clear with this juvenile detention center.
If they fund it,
The state,
fund it, we open it.
you open it. And whose job is it to request that funding?
Well, that's the state, because they're
The
going to
state.
come to me and say, here's a check.
Okay, then. So we're waiting for the state to say, hey.
I don't know if we're going to wait for them because, you know, it's going to be, well, we went to the sheriff. We have what I love to say this word. We have this word salad, and then we mix it up and
Right.
make it seem like it's the state. I have the building.
Right.
I would take my administrative staff, create administrative staff because they wouldn't know how to run that building, and we were ready to go.
Would you look elsewhere for the funding?
They would need to look elsewhere for the
That's
funding.
the state. That's
State's
the state's
still the funding.
responsibility. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then. Well, thank you. Congratulations again.
Thank you, sir.
And look forward to you coming back
Anytime.
and talking. Thank